coach, friend of the show, Jay
Our guy.
Wright.
It's been a long time. Good to see you.
Oh, we are just pumping away.
Bumping.
Bumping.
Bumping, Jenna.
Bumping.
My goodness.
Now that we're doing it, I got to get the
There you go.
vocab correct. Coach, this is the youngest team you've had in a while, and yet you guys are the 2 seed in the conference. What has that adjustment been like for you?
Grays, man.
Grays, I'm telling you.
They're coming. They're coming. We try to do everything in our program not to be young. You know, we want experienced players.
But it's hard in today's college basketball game to keep players until they're a little bit older.
It is, and we've tried to work through that, and we had the 4 after our 18 championship, 4 guys left, and that's what kind of caught us a little young. So anyway, we got through it. It has been different. A lot of teaching. Going into this tournament, we usually have some veteran guys that have played in Madison Square Garden that have been through this, and we got a lot of new guys going through it for the first time. So this is a unique Big East tournament for us.
All right, so everyone on your roster is undefeated in this tournament, right? You have no one that's lost a game.
I didn't know that, but now
I mean, unless you have a 5th-year senior that I'm not thinking of.
No,
you don't. I mean, you guys won it in 17, you won it in 18, you won it in 19.
And a lot of them haven't been around.
Right. Some of them are undefeated because they're 0-0 in the tournament, but none of these guys that you will coach this week have ever lost a single game in the Big East tournament.
That's interesting.
And I'm just curious for you guys, because obviously you guys have had such enormous postseason success, what the message is this time of year, and if there is a bit of, at this point, a message of, guys, this is our tournament. Like, it maybe always historically wasn't, but this is our tournament now. I just don't know if that's your messaging point or how you approach it.
We actually approach it in that this is just our next game. Okay. It's just our next game, and we're trying to improve every game throughout the year. Now, that's always been our message. Even in some of our championship years, we felt like we were getting better. I remember in 18, we said after the game in the championship, we said, if we could play another game, we wanted to go back to practice. So we try to keep that mindset. We're just trying to get better and better every game, and then eventually the season comes to an end. That's how we look at it.
So I guess the question is, how do you teach experience to the guys that don't know it? Do you walk them in? Do you show them the banners? Do you say, okay, so I've been here? It's hard to teach that had they not gone through it with such a young team.
It is. Every opportunity you get to get them in that building. Playing in the Big East tournament, I think, is comparable to playing in the NCAA tournament. When you play in the NCAA tournament, it's such a different vibe. And I don't know if there's another tournament in the country that has the same thing. When you go into Madison Square Garden, it's a totally different vibe.
Sure.
So when we played St. John's this year at the Garden, we made sure we got a shoot-around the day of the game, just so we get the guys in there, walk them around, let them see everything. Normally, with our older teams, we don't use the shoot-around day of the game. We want to keep them fresh. But we made sure this year we went in there, spent the time in there, talked to them, let them see everything. You go in there for the first time, you're a kid, you're like, wow, you know? So let's get through all that. We did play St. John's there. And now when you go to the tournament, you can't get in for shoot-around. So you just got to hope that game against St. John's and our walkthrough helped us kind of ease into it.
Selection Monday, millions of people will be filling out their brackets. And it'll come down to, at some point, oh, Villanova versus, I don't know. Why should people pick Villanova?
This young group, if we're going to do it, has the chance to really improve a lot at this point in the season because we're just
still improving.
Yeah, we've got so much potential. We got a lot of young guys that are really just coming into their own. Jeremiah Robinson-Earl, our freshman big guy, is playing his best basketball. Justin Moore, another freshman, is playing his best basketball that he's played in his career, which isn't long, but he can, I think his experience of going through the Big East tournament is going to help him in the NCAA tournament. So, and even our sophomores, they can get a lot better. So we're a young crew that we could get hot.
Okay.
You guys.
How's that for sales job?
Good.
I'm selling myself.
No, I bought it.
I'm selling myself
I just
here.
bought
and by the way,
some of
at this point, you win the national championship every other year. 16, 18, so you're supposed to win it there.
It's what you do.
It's just the history.
But how tough of a grind has it been? You guys are good. Creighton's good. Seton Hall's good. How tough has the season been?
We were talking about this before. I was in the old Big East back in the day when Patrick Ewing and Chris Mullin, those guys were there. There was a grind. Even when we went to 16 teams and Louisville was in, and that was a grind. We got 11 teams in the tournament that year. But this year, 7 out of our 10 teams are NCAA tournament teams. DePaul, the last place team, beat Texas Tech, won at Iowa, beat Boston College. That's the last place team. Wow. It has been the craziest grind. You know, we shake hands before the game, the coaches. We just look at each other like, holy crap, this is wild this year. We really do. That's what we say. We say this league is unbelievable.
Now it's all fist.
Well, and
true.
There you go.
No, we still. We'll see what we do in the tournament.
But one of the reasons you've got to be bullish on your chances, other than you know your own confidence and your history, is you guys did beat Kansas. You guys, I understand you guys have a bunch of great. I think you guys have like 10 quad one wins, if that's, and obviously going through the conference. But Kansas, when people are filling out brackets, Kansas is a team a lot of people are going to say is going to win the whole thing. Yeah. How important is that specific win when you are talking about how good this team can be?
Yeah, that's exactly what it is, Nick. I think in this team's psyche, they don't have a lot of experience, but they have that in their psyche, that is the best team. And we did beat them. Now,
it's a great game too. I mean, Samuels hit the game winner, right?
Exactly,
great.
Exactly. Sold out. Wells Fargo Center was pretty cool. But they have that, and they've done that. Now, we've had some slip-ups too, but not against any bad teams. Just teams in our league. You know, we lost to Baylor. So that is our psyche, and that's what our strength is going to be going into this tournament.
In top 3 in the nation strength of schedule, so no one's going to be more battle-tested, to your point about the Big East. I do want to ask you a question about some of your former players, because I haven't seen you since the NBA Finals. And Kyle Lowry, who you have, I can only imagine how happy you were. And not only they got the championship, but Kyle had this weird thing where it's like game 1 of a playoff series, like what's wrong with Kyle? Yeah. And that becomes a narrative, and then you do it enough, people are like, that's just who he is. For him to have the moments that he did, particularly at the end of those NBA Finals, which is like, Kawhi can get the Finals MVP, but we are not losing. Right. And then to follow it up this year without Kawhi and be like, we are the damn champs. I'm sure you've talked to him, but your level of pride seeing Kyle become what I knew you believed he could become.
Yeah. It's one of the things we try to build in our program. As a matter of fact, we wear these wristbands, attitude, that you can't control what happens to you in life all the time, but what you can control is your attitude going into every day. And when Kyle was going through those tough playoff times, we'd be texting each other, and he wasn't shooting the ball well. And it was all about not what he did in his poor shooting, but how did he respond with his teammates coming in to walk through the next day? How did he respond to his teammates in the locker room? And I'm so proud of the leader he's become. You can see, especially this year, that team has taken on his personality, his mental toughness. And that's really what we try to teach our guys. So he's kind of the ultimate example for us. And he's come the furthest. I don't know, you were in Philly when he was a young high school kid. Come on.
Yep.
He was a handful, man. That dude, he's grown so much. Great father, great husband, great alum. He's given millions of dollars to Villanova. He comes back, works out in the summers at 5:30 in the morning on our court. So our guys come on the court at 7. You got an NBA All-Star drenched in sweat coming off the court. He's everything you'd want your players to be.
Coach, I feel like we ask you this every time you're here because you're so popular in the college ranks. You mentioned being in the Garden, how awesome that was. Your name has been linked to the Knicks. You already know this. We'd be remiss if we didn't ask. This is all me leading up to you, asking you, could you see yourself coaching in the NBA?
I don't think so. I really don't. I just love where I am. I love college. I've said this a number of times, so I hate to repeat myself, but it's just the truth. I would like to coach the NBA. I coached last summer with Popovich in the World Cup. I love that. The Olympics this summer, I'm coaching with Steve Kerr and Pop and Lloyd Pierce. I love coaching those guys. It's awesome. But I'd have to leave my job. I just like my job, and I don't want to leave Villanova.
The only follow-up, just because I feel like it almost has to do with the Tom Brady discussion, which is we talk about with Brady, why would he leave New England when it's best place to win and all this? Yeah. And the argument I've made is sometimes, even if you have conquered this mountain, you can do it again, you want to see what another mountain is like. Yeah. I'm just curious for you, and I know how much you love Villanova. I'm not trying to push you out of the college game,
I get
but it's just I just wonder if there's a part of you that has like an itch of even if I can't get to the top of it, I wonder what that mountain's like.
Yeah, that's the balance. You do have that thought in your mind, that itch, but then you have to make a decision and just say, you know what, is it worth scratching that itch just to? Jimmy Valvano had a great line when he left Iona and went to NC State. He said, "Don't mess with happy." He's once said the happiest he ever was at Iona, even though he loved NC State. Don't mess with happy, and I'm happy at Villanova. I love it, and I don't want to mess with it.